if I start eating grapes during, I
Please
apologize.
eat. Please do whatever you want to do. I
I,
am not offended whatsoever.
I've realized that people in this industry are like maybe doing two or three things at once. So they're going to eat when they're going to eat, and they're going to squeeze things in when they squeeze things in, and no one's really
Well, I
offended.
actually think what's nice about podcasts is that it can be casual like that.
Yes, no one has to say it.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm letting the world see me like this. So, all right, I'm going to jump into it. And
Okay.
once you're ready, I'll have a
No,
grape.
I was just trying to get the LA Guns link up on my Spotify so I have some song references. There we go. But it's not bringing up the album. Anyway, we can start. It's fine. I'll get your link that you sent me. Sorry, I should have had this ready.
No, 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 it's fine. I'm completely just, I promise you, this is the first time I've fallen flat on my face, Pamela. I'm so embarrassed.
It's okay. Oh my God. Oh my
I
God.
really am.
I mean, seriously, there is absolutely nothing to be embarrassed about. I am, uh, I'm totally there with you. It's all good.
Okay, thank you. I really do appreciate that. Like I've screwed up and like Patricia Richardson was sitting there waiting for us because we thought she was in LA. She was in New York or Connecticut or wherever, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. But she has LA in her Twitter name. So
Yeah.
we didn't question it.
Yeah, of course.
The Google Calendar thing was set for LA time.
Oh
So
no.
my alarm was set to wake up at that time, New York time, whichever it was, like say 10 a.m. New York time or whatever. Actually, no, it was later. It was something like 8 p.m. So it was 8 p.m. New York time. I've woken up, but yeah, we're thinking it was LA. So I thought I had 3 hours still. Yeah, so she hasn't forgiven me since.
Oh no.
And like, I feel awful.
Well, it's an honest mistake.
I know. And the other time I screwed up was in front of Tim Minear, who created, not just writes for or produces, created 911 for Ryan Murphy.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, I got through his introduction and we're like, he's reacted to it and all that jazz. And I looked at my thing and realized I wasn't recording.
Ugh. Ugh.
So it was fine, but it was embarrassing. And David Yazbek, I get halfway through his introduction and I turn to the next page. I'm like, what? This doesn't make sense. And I'm looking for the other one. I cross the room. I'm looking at my desk. I'm looking for it. I come back. I'm like, David Yazbek, you're a Grammy, Emmy, and a Tony winner. I'm so embarrassed, right? I'm so sorry. Pamela, it was on the back of the page. It was on the
Oh
back of the
God.
fucking page. I look like such a fool, but he's a character, so he found it funny.
Good.
So I have
Good.
like screwed up along the way, but this is the first time I've literally fallen flat on my face right before a recording.
I believe me, I get it. It's okay. I totally understand.
Even like I was having trouble writing Lonnie's episode because what do you ask the man who's been asked
I
everything?
know. I know. Well, but he liked your questions. He kept saying, that's a great question. So
Yeah.
that was good. That to me sounded like someone that's asked a lot of the same questions and was genuinely pleased by having different kinds of questions. That was
Yes.
good.
Yeah, because we I do like to ask things with a bit of an angle that other people maybe haven't. Like the dirty dancing thing. And he definitely loved that question. I know that. And he loved his introduction. Thank God. Thank God. Anyways, we are going to get into it now because we're already 15 minutes
All right,
over.
I'm ready.
We should have started at 10 a.m. anyways.
I know, I know.
That's all right. I'm going to have some coffee.
Welcome to the Blooming League of Original Podcasts.
G'day and welcome to an overcooked edition of Thrash and Treasure, the Torture Chamber musical comedy podcast where we cling to the notion that metal is just socially acceptable opera. And speaking of weakling, I'm Aaron. And tonight, on a very special Blossom, guess what? We have another killer Broadway diva on the Prairie tonight, and she's here to let us know how to save the world in 90 minutes. But first, let's bookend this origin story and sail across the great blueness looking for signs of life before we one day more in a postcard American town where we have always lived in a castle that lays asleep on the edge of a town among the wildwood flowers. So we're now more near ourselves than we ever were. There'll be nights in September lying in our grey room and dreaming of Paris in the rain. You might call that Godot's Blues or Mary Jo's Lament, but I call it a clue for this queen to make like gypsy Poughkeepsie and hit the road, making sure to keep to the sunny side because we're halfway there. Whoa, living on a prairie with this sister of swing swinging on a star and landing like babes in arms of those good old girls. And luckily, people like us, or hand to God, they'd let us fall and we'd be left looking like someone hung a Picasso at the Lapin Agile, or someone Sweeney Todd just finished with and sent down his little drop of horrors. But before we close A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, Annie, get your gun and shoot an old-fashioned Aussie g'day along with some silence. The musical. So when FBI agent Starling comes stomping in like Bridezilla, I'll walk down and kick the bouquet, then catch the bucket of tears because they're playing our song. The one we heard on our first date night that saw Rosie and Lincoln in love while Ivory Joe Cole tickled his first name.
Wow, that's so good.
And we ended up full Monty in syncopation, doing the extraordinary ordinary. Oh shit, wait, that's a whole other podcast. But while you're a good man, Charlie Brown, I love you, you're perfect, now change. So we can welcome our latest guest company into our heartbreak house turned hotel turned heartbreak torture chamber for a standoff at high noon. But don't blow the bird off your head, just fire into the air if you're Oakley. But Annie, are you Oakley? Are you Oakley, Annie? Because you've been struck by the smooth Pamela Bob. Yay, welcome to the torture chamber.
Wow.
How's it going? That was terrible.
Okay, I've been waiting to hear how you were going to introduce. I know, take a nap. That was a lot. Take a nap. I am blown away by how you did that. That was incredible. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You need a cigarette now and a good nap.
More than just that, I need a whiskey straight up.
Here, here.
No ice.
And carbs.
So how are you going?
It's good. Thank you for having me here. I'm very honored, you know. Last week was Lonnie Price and this week is me. I mean, that's not bad company at all.
You should feel honored.
I am.
That's why I was sense of humor there. But you know Kay Tuckerman, so you should be used to it by now.
I sure do. My God.
Did she warn you?
No.
Oh, she didn't need to warn you. You've listened to the show.
Yeah, I know. And she always thinks of me. She's a very lovely person.
Apologies to listeners at home. I'm currently eating grapes, so if you hear me munching away.
Listen, we got to snack. We got to hydrate. It's, you know. I'm always glad when I see people drinking or snacking on their podcasts. It makes me feel like, oh, they're a real person.
Yeah, but I don't like hearing it. I don't want to hear you chewing, kids.
No. We don't need the. No, I'm not into that either. What is the sound thing? ASMR or whatever? I'm not into that. That would drive me absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
I think you have to be probably some kind of psychopath to really enjoy that. But there are many people that really enjoy that.
Yep. So to those psychopaths out there, we love you.
Thanks, guys.
Everyone's welcome. I get it because I listen to birdsong myself and like rain sounds, so that's basically ASMR.
Yeah, but that's universal. That's not someone chewing a piece of food or something like, you know, like.
Yeah, crinkling paper, like.
Yeah, I mean, stop. No. Why?
If your goal was to put me asleep, kids, yes, you're going to put me to sleep by being boring.
Yeah, you know, that's why sometimes I'll put on like an audiobook or a really boring podcast, and that does put me right to sleep.
Oh, name names.
No, I can't even think of. Sometimes, you know, it's just sometimes someone just sort of talking very calmly and the words go away. It's just the sort of the sound of the talking and it does the trick. Not this podcast, of course.
No, but definitely something on the Broadway podcast network. Oh, shots fired.
You said it, not me.
Ow. Well, I'm an independent guy going up against the big leagues, so
yeah.
They should stop maybe messaging my co-host and asking him to join their network. I'm not going to name names.
Boop, boop, boop. Yeah.
So I can't find my questions list.
Uh-oh.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
It's not my week, listeners.
I know, it's one of those days.
It's just been stinking hot in Australia.
It's a heat wave in Australia. No one can think when there's a heat wave going on.
That's it. And there's bloody floods up in Brisbane.
The earth is angry. She's real angry.
Oh, tell me about it.
And rightfully so.
I have a page of questions that
I'm sure you do.
The first one was about, you've got your own podcast, Living on a Prairie.
I do. Yes.
It's all about the classic television show, Little House.
Well, Living on a Prairie is the series that I created.
Oh, okay.
The podcast is the Little House on the Prairie 50th anniversary podcast.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. How are you supposed to know that? But one led to the other. So Living on a Prairie is a 6 episodic short form comic dramedy about a woman whose obsession with the TV show Little House on the Prairie is sort of messing up her life a little bit. And it was so much fun to do and to create. And we won lots of awards. We won at Tribeca. We won LA International Film Festival. It's been good times. And from there, I've been developing it into a half hour. Well, I've developed it into a half hour series, but I'm at the point now where I'm like, do I make it into a series? Do I make it into a film? Or do I do a stage adaptation of it? I don't know. That's all being tossed in the air. I've been working with lots of producers, so we'll see where that goes next. But the podcast happened because Allison Arngrim, who plays Nellie Olson on Little House on the Prairie, and Charlotte Stewart, who played Miss Beadle on Little House on the Prairie and also was in Twin Peaks and Eraserhead and all of these sort of cult favorite things. They were both in my series. They did cameo spots. And from them, I was able to but really meet the entire cast of the TV show Little House on the Prairie. And they saw my series and they loved it and they were great supporters of it. And they've been really kind and generous to me. 2024 was the 50th anniversary of the TV show Little House on the Prairie, and they wanted to start a podcast for that, and they all wanted me to be the host of the podcast. So the podcast is really fun. It's me, Dean Butler, who played Almanzo, Laura Ingalls' husband on the show, and
Buffy's dad.
And Buffy's dad, yes.
And Buffy's dad. Huge Buffy
Yes,
fan.
and from the new Gidget also.
But Buffy's dad.
Yeah, no, definitely Buffy people know who he is.
So just said Dean Butler.
Yeah. And Allison Arngrim, who played Nellie Olson, of course. And it's the three of us, and we're in the second year of it now, and it's great fun. Yeah. And if you know Little House on the Prairie at all, it is hilarious, and it will answer all of your questions.
Wow, I have not watched that in years.
It's so good. You know, you watch it now and you're like, Jesus, this show really still holds up. It's just still a great one. And for those of you who have never seen it, watch it. It's really good. You know, people that watched my series Living on a Prairie, which you can find on YouTube or livingonaprairietv.com. There are so many people that had never seen Little House on the Prairie before that watched my series and loved it, because really it's just about the toll of fandom, really, where you're getting everything you want out of life from this TV show, or, you know, you could replace it with Star Wars or Game of Thrones or any other sort of cult favorite something.
Buffy.
Yeah, or Buffy, right? And you're getting out of this thing that's not real what you want from life. And then in your real life, you're not able to feel or get any of that, whether that's love or community or friendship or a feeling of belonging. And so the reason why people like my series is because you don't actually have to know Little House on the Prairie to understand what the story is about. And the story really is about this woman who doesn't fit in, who's socially awkward and can't seem to get from her life what she's getting out of this fictional television show. My favorite fans are actually the ones that don't know Little House on the Prairie, because that's how I know I've done what I wanted to do with the show. So, yeah, it's been really cool.
Yeah. Now, do you have to know anything about Bon Jovi?
No, except, you know, if you know the title, you know it's clever. That's all. Living on a prairie, you know.
When you were wondering, like, waiting for what I was going to do with your resume, did you know I would pull that out?
I mean, I figured so much, but you know what surprised me was all of the songs that you pulled out from the album.
Yes.
Pamela Bob sings Mandel and Leiden.
Which is my next question. Wonderful segue.
Oh, okay. Shoot. Awesome.
So are we going to get another album?
Oh, well, you know, this was their music that we did. And then we also did a concert series of a bunch of their other songs, some of these songs and some other songs as well. And I'm really hoping to do the concert again because it's gorgeous. Ellen Mandel and Michael Leiden are two friends of mine based in New York City, and they're just these amazing composers and musicians. Michael Leiden is really cool, too, because he was one of the founding contributors to Rolling Stone magazine. I mean, he wrote the Ray Charles biography. He's talked to Janis Joplin, like everyone. Wow. He was with all of those people. He writes these contemporary, the only way I would describe them is he writes these contemporary American songbook type songs. Like they could be Gershwin or Cole Porter or Harold Arlen, but they're today. And that's what I love about his music. And then Ellen is this magical composer producer and songwriter who takes these art songs or these poets and develops these beautiful, haunting, glorious songs from them. And so, yeah, I'm hoping one of my goals is just to do more of the concerts of them.
Yep.
I mean, another album would be amazing, but I don't know if that's in the works.
Live recording of the concert. Well, there you go.
Yeah. Yes, right. Yes, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Totally.
Wonderful. Wow, that perfect segue then with
Oh.
Rolling Stone. I didn't see that coming at all.
Ah.
Because have you had any experience with metal, heavy metal, glam metal, industrial metal, death metal?
I mean, I was a kid in the 80s in the era of hair metal,
Yes.
the peak hair metal era, you know, Bon Jovi, Guns N' Roses, Def Leppard. I wouldn't say I was like a super fan, but definitely like when Bon Jovi was out, that album was sick. I mean, it was a great, great album. But I'm also a huge, I would say more of a fan of Bowie and Led Zeppelin, and that's more sort of classic rock metal sound. I don't know if you've ever felt like you were born in the wrong era.
All the time.
Yeah. I remember being a kid of like 10 years old, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, and going, I was born in the wrong time because I looked at that hair metal and I just thought it was ridiculous. The look of it I thought was so stupid. I mean, I thought it was sort of laughable and weird.
Yeah.
But even if the music was good, I just thought the genre of it, the whole skin tight pants and the hair up to heaven and the hairspray and the girls on chains and all that stuff was just like crazy. Like I remember being a kid and being like, this is so stupid.
Yeah.
However, I am a huge fan of Spinal Tap. And the reason why I enjoyed this album that we did this week is because it had a lot of Spinal Tap-esque sound and references to it that I found. I mean, I don't think this band wants me to laugh. I think they probably want me to take their music very seriously. But I have to say that I was sort of laughing through this album because the music is good, but I just couldn't get Spinal Tap out of my brain.
Yeah.
And then I watched some of their videos and I was like, oh, this is Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
So
Sort of glam.
yeah. You know what metal I can't take is the like super angry white guy metal.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like, "Bo, bo, 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 bo," and it's just noise and like the demonic sounds.
To be fair, black people and Asians also do that really, really well as well.
They do?
Trust.
Okay. All right. Because for me, I'm like, you're white, straight men. What are you so angry about? Why? I understand having an inner rage and the music meets that vibration. I totally get it. I just, for me, I don't think I have that kind of severe inner rage.
Yeah.
So for me, when I hear that, it's jarring and it sounds like upsetting noise to me.
Oh yeah, I get it. It can be so much.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It can be so much.
Yeah.
But there's one band, I can't even remember who it is, but Adam Jones, I think his name is. He worked on the special effects for Jurassic Park.
Oh boy.
And yet he's in a metal band.
Yeah.
So it's really weird.
Well, wasn't oh God, Will Smith's now ex-wife.
Jada Pinkett.
What, Jada?
Yeah, or Jada. Yeah.
She did metal for a long time.
Yeah, she's got a metal band.
She must have had a lot of
Yeah.
pent-up inner rage in her.
Yeah. Or just a really lubricated throat.
Mm-hmm.
So I shouldn't have said that while you were drinking.
No comment.
I did try to pause. I don't know if you noticed I said it slowly.
No, it was perfect.
Because I saw you drinking and I'm like, you're going to spray that all over the computer right now and all over your mic and that would be my fault. So let's not. Sorry, Jada Pinkett.
No,
Smith.
that's called serendipity. Yeah.
Yes. No, it is, isn't it? But I should warn guests because it's happened a lot. I have a lot of footage of guests drinking while I've said something.
Spit takes.
Yeah. And they're just like that. And
That's the ultimate compliment. This last show I was in, we were in rehearsals and it was like my first or second day of rehearsal. I didn't know these people really yet at all.
Yep.
And I said something sort of off the cuff that was funny in the midst of my fellow actor drinking a soda or, something.
Yeah.
And he thought it was so funny. He legitimately did a full spit take. And it was one of the best moments of my life.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, it is
so good.
The ultimate compliment.
Yes.
But I don't want any guests to choke on this show because remember, I have people like Lonnie Price on this show. I do not want to hurt them in any way.
No.
So
we need that Lonnie Price.
that's it. So shout out to Lonnie.
When I was in rehearsals, I want to say for Gentleman's Guide, he was in the studio across from ours with Audra rehearsing.
Oh, Lady Day.
Yes.
Mm.
And so we always knew he was there. We always sort of tried to peek and see what was going on. But just knowing that they were opposite us was like thrilling.
Yeah. It was like Steve was there, so he came in with no pretense. Like it wasn't a PR interview or anything like that.
No,
It was like it was a
no.
friend who was there. He could relax with me.
Yeah, it's great. It was a great interview too.
And him and I had chatted anyways, like when he's like, here's my number. Give me a call. And I'm like, I have Lonnie Price's.
Yeah, you're BFF now. Totes. Totes BFF.
It blows my mind. Anyways, next question. What would you put on your ultimate, most over-the-top rock star rider?
Okay, I've thought about this. Are you ready?
Awesome. Yes.
Maybe this isn't over the top, but it definitely is something I would want. A masseuse.
Yes, I'm down.
Even an acupuncturist. Like we're talking total body self-care shit,
Yes,
right?
please.
So masseuse, acupuncturist, sure, Reiki, let's add that in.
Yep.
You know, anything that heals the body, that helps the body, total self-care. And then just a chef, just someone to make my food for me and food that's good for me and that's really yummy. I don't think that's too over the top, but it's definitely, that's the only thing I could think of that was like, yeah.
Honey, you've worked on Broadway. That's way over the top for Broadway. Let's face it. Although now we're in the age of people doing up their dressing rooms for a month-long run.
Oh, yeah.
Not to judge.
No, they completely renovate. I mean, you have to be a star to do that, but they do that. I was in Christian Borle's dressing room for Tammy Faye, which lasted 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Under a month it lasted, and they did a full renovation on his dressing room was awesome, and it lasted maybe a month.
Oh my God, what a waste of money. Okay, Nicole Scherzinger doing it for Sunset. I get it because they're booked till July.
Right.
Totally get that.
Well, they must have thought that they were going to be booked for a long time also.
That's a gamble I personally would not make. You just add
I
it onto
know.
the budget of the show.
Yep. But if they say yes, then oh well.
I know, full respect. I hope I'm not judging it because, people have gotten to the stature that they've gotten to
Right.
through hard work, through a lot of performances,
Yes.
through a lot of iconic performances that have reached this
Yes.
side of the world, not just
Yeah.
New York City.
Yeah.
Right. So I totally get that. But as I say, there's a difference between renovating a dressing room for something that might book out till whenever and something that is cemented until whenever.
Yeah.
Like if you're going into Chicago for a year-long stint, totally get it. You're there for a year. Be comfortable.
I know, but it must be part of that star treatment that like, yeah, we'll do your dressing room however you want it.
Yeah.
You know, I think it just must be part of the deal. It just must be. I'll let you know if I ever get to that point. If I can be like, let's do my dressing room.
Well, we'll see if you get there after the metal and musical reviews.
Yeah.
Sorry, we won't tempt fate there. Okay, no, that's fine. Chef to as long as they can make delicious lasagna and cheeseburgers, I am happy. So now we're going to move on to the metal album now.
Okay.
And this week I chose LA Guns' Hollywood Forever.
Yeah, baby.
So I thought it matched up with the musical. Now, this week, because I'm solo, I've done my pros and cons. So I'll try to get to it quickly, but jump in if you got any thoughts or
Okay.
agree or disagree. Please argue with me. As you know, I love that. I live for it. Okay, pros. First one is it kicks off immediately with some high octane hair metal.
Agreed.
But the con is several tracks could be 30 seconds shorter to make a harder impact in the long run.
I would agree with that as well.
The pro is there is enough variety in this album, but the con is it's a bit more hard rock in the softer moments than what I would like. Pro is the vocals are solid with a gruff sleaze. The con is that it got me pregnant. The pro is, at least I know who the father is. The con, the album as a whole is a bit long, though I said something similar already. The pro is, there isn't too many cons. The con is, there isn't too many cons. Pro is, it's fun, sleazy, rock-infused metal. Another con is, I have few complaints. A pro is, Eel Pie was a tasty 2-minute 40, and yet no impact was lost. Easy to swallow. But the con is, Eel Pie. Gross, America. The next pro is a solid effort from an iconic band. The con is it's slightly radio friendly and non-threatening. Pro is shorter songs stand out more, and the last con is the longer songs are the more metal.
I would agree with all of that.
So I gave it 4 stars.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that. And also, total shout out to Eel Pie because that was the one that actually made me laugh out loud because that song is so straight out of Spinal Tap. It's insane. Like you could see Spinal Tap singing that song. I know. I was not mad at this album though.
Yeah.
And I think it's because, I mean, that 80s rock, that 80s metal still had melody. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there were still sort of complete songs that you could play on the radio.
Yeah.
And I know that's not gritty of me whatsoever, but I guess this was like what you were saying. It sort of rode that border of it was still commercial, but gritty enough that it was considered metal, but commercial enough that you could still play it on the radio.
Yeah. But still sleazy.
Yeah.
Because you want that. We want that from hair metal people. Stop taking the sleaze out of it just because it's sexist. It's the point of it. It's the sound of it. It's not meant to sound romantic. It's meant to sound sleazy.
Right. Although I will say sometimes I feel like these songs sort of, not all of them, but some of them all sort of sound the same. And that's why I don't know if I give it a 4 stars. I definitely give it high stars.
Yeah.
The only reason why I would say it wasn't a full 4 stars is because I thought that some of the songs just do sound similar enough to each other as opposed to, you know, like the classic, let's say Bon Jovi, their original album, all the songs were different. It didn't sound like just the same song every song.
Yeah. Well, they're all the same length.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy that you have some of these songs are almost 5 minutes. 5 minutes? 6 minutes? That last song is 5 minutes. There are a lot of 5-minute songs.
There are. And if they shortened them, I think it would have made them stand out more.
Yeah, greater impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe it wouldn't have sounded like they all started sounding the same a little bit.
Yeah, and bled into each other.
Although there were a couple of standout songs for sure. Eel Pie being one of them.
Yeah, and what were the other ones?
I really liked the opening number, the Hollywood Forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first two made a good impact on me. Araña Negra was the last one, which was just, you know, too long.
Yeah.
But not a bad song. Not a bad song. Did you find, though, that the harder moments were authentically hard, or did you find it more like 80s commercial rock?
It was a little from column A, a little from column B. In a lot of ways. Like the vocals were there, but it was still palatable, non-threatening is probably the best way to put it.
Yes.
It was non-threatening. It should have been maybe a little bit more threatening, but I guess you've got that in the sleaze.
And also, like, the album was made in 88, 87.
Was it?
I think so.
I thought this was a newer. I thought I picked a newer one. Oh my God, I'm terrible.
Oh, maybe I was looking at, it said, 2012? No.
Yeah, 2012, yeah.
Oh, well, that changes everything for me then. Because to me, this sounded way more 80s.
Authentic.
2012. But they've been around for a while, though, because their first the first album was in the 80s.
Yeah.
What was I looking at? Ooh, that sort of changes my vibe about this album. I'm not mad at it. I am not mad at this album. I like this album, but woohoo. So now it makes me feel like it really is Spinal Tap, like guys that would hit their prime in the 80s and are just like, they're still going.
One of them follows me on Twitter, by the way.
I love you, LA Guns. Love the album. No, I will say I was glad you picked this album because I'm not a metal like
aficionado
fan. Yep. It's not I'm not an aficionado at all. But this album was very listenable, right? Yeah. Like I didn't not enjoy listening to this album.
Yeah.
The vocals are really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phil Lewis
knows how to sing. But I was watching a video that that's why I was watching a video from one of their hit songs from 1988. That's what I was watching. That's why that year was in my brain.
And the person who follows me on Twitter isn't on this album at all, so that's fine.
Yay! Okay, now we can air it. Okay, good.
I have a confession to make. I have never seen nor heard Spinal Tap.
What?
I know, right?
Wait a minute. You host a podcast comparing metal to musical theater and you've never seen Spinal Tap?
I've never seen it.
That's your I'm giving you a task. It will change your life. It will change your life, especially being the host of this podcast. That is your task. That is your task this week. Please watch it. And then watch it, then watch it again. Then if you get the DVD I don't even know if you can do the DVD anymore, but even if you get it digitally, whatever.
Yeah.
There's an extras section. They made the DVD of it in the year 2000. And as part of their extras on it was that they did commentary as Spinal Tap over the movie. I mean, it is its own movie itself, listening to the commentary. And it is so fucking hilarious that it's almost better than the movie itself. But please watch it. You must. We actually saw Spinal Tap live a couple of years ago. It was the anniversary. It was the movie anniversary, and Tribeca Film Festival did a live Q&A with Rob Reiner and the whole Spinal Tap guys. They showed the movie, which was hilarious, in the big Beacon Theater in New York City. So it was a huge audience of Spinal Tap fans, like Uber fans. And then they came out and then they formed an acoustic set of some of the Spinal Tap songs, which was hilarious. I've got the videos of it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I'm so jealous that you're going to be watching it for the first time because it's so good.
Yeah.
And then watch also A Mighty Wind, because that's
Christopher Guest,
which is also incredible.
I was saying Best in Show and Waiting for Guffman.
And Best in, exactly. So it's that team. And so I'm very excited for you. Yes, do all the homework. You're going to go down the Spinal Tap rabbit hole and you're going to love every second of it.
Yeah, you have to get in line behind David Zippel, who has set me on the task of watching my first ever Barbara Streisand movie.
What? You've never seen Funny Girl? Listen, you don't have to see any other...
I never said Hello, Dolly.
Listen, you don't have to see any other Barbara movie except Funny Girl. That's the required one.
David's put me up to What's Up, Doc?
Yes, brilliant. What's Up, Doc is hilarious. And that's Madeline Kahn, too, so you can't go wrong.
I love her. Well, it was...
Yeah, she's hilarious. What? I don't understand you.
I know. I'll get there eventually.
How do you know everything about musical theater, but you've never seen a Barbra Streisand movie?
I don't know. Because I read.
I'm not even that big of a Barbra Streisand fanatic, but you've got to watch Funny Girl. I mean, you're literally watching a master.
I've never seen The Mirror Has Two Faces or Prince of Tides.
Well, that you can. Those you can pat. No, those you can skip. We don't love all Barbara. It's okay. We don't have to.
I've never seen Yentl. Not Yentl. I'm sorry. I've never seen Meet the Fockers.
Listen. That's fine. You don't have to see that. You do have to see Funny Girl, though. You do. It is required viewing. And I love What's Up, Doc, too. And if you love Madeline Kahn, you'll love that, too.
Yeah, that'll be first on it.
Funny. Yeah. No. Funny Girl has to be first. It has to be.
Are you listening, David? You've been told.
Funny Girl will, change your freaking life. It's that good.
We did do the musical recently, and I watched the pro shot of the London production.
No. Watch the movie. No, because God love anyone that tries to tackle that role. God love you, but hands down to you. But no one, absolutely no one can do it how she did it. No one. Yeah. I don't even know why people are attempting it.
Well, I don't know.
It has to happen. Funny Girl and Spinal Tap, they'll both change your life.
I think I actually have Hello, Dolly on DVD, but I just never watched it.
Don't. Funny Girl. That's required. Funny Girl. The peak cool moment of my life was I was on In Hand to God, and there were two guys from Fish. I was, especially in high school, a huge Fish fan. The band Fish.
I don't know who they are.
Fish? What?
No. Sorry.
What? Oh my gosh. You have so much homework. Anyway, they were there and they saw me in that show, and that was a peak moment of wow, this is bragging rights kind of cool shit. Oh, wow. Okay, you have so much homework, and it's all glee, it's all joyful homework.
Yeah. Well, at the moment, our homework was this. We've gone way off track. We've gone way.
Okay, let's go back. Let's get back on.
We're on to Barbra Streisand for crying out loud. Goodness gracious me. No, look, I really enjoyed this album. It was fun. It was lively. It was sleazy. Just my complaints were I would have liked more metal and a bit shorter. So it was 57 minutes long or something like that. I'm like, guys, it's 14 songs. What are you doing to me?
It's digital. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah, I know, but still, we want albums. We want bands to make an album that's a whole entity that flows. And I know,
They
I
don't
know.
do that anymore. The days of making an album where we actually had the vinyl and you could open it up and look at all the artwork and look at all the lyrics that were written down, those days are gone because it's digital. That was a part of creating a full flowing album, is because it was a full immersive experience. And now that everything is digital, you can have one song that's just the hit or two songs that's just the hit without having to listen to an entire album of it.
Yeah,
It's just not the same anymore.
it sucks.
I know.
But in terms of like an album that, it has a flow to it, it has a sound, like it's not maybe necessarily a rock opera or a story as a whole, but
No, but there's a journey you
there's
go
a
on.
journey going. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Me
Yes,
too.
but pardon me. Anyways, grapes give me the burps for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh,
And that and Coke. So I'm so sorry. I'm gassy at the moment. It's so embarrassing. But it looks like Crazy Tan go to an ad break. From the producers of Thrash and Treasure, around the world in 80 plays, starring the adorable Lizzie B and Alfie Parker, and featuring the star of the show, Dolly the dog, they'll take you for a trip around the UK, exploring the rich arts and cultural history. But here is a sneak peek.
And this week we're in Edinburgh, Scotland. Scotland! Every theatre really has ghosts, but we're in Edinburgh. Edinburgh's known for its spooky ghosts. So why don't you...
Yeah, I've done my research, and I might have had an experience of my own.
Oh.
Right, so, I am a true believer. Alfie is definitely more sceptical, but I believe in ghosts wholeheartedly. Like, I love watching paranormal programs. We watch a lot of celebrity ghost hunters. I just love it. I just kind of think, like, what's the point in not believing?
Yeah, my issue, right, I want to believe that there is something there. I think ghosts is a nice idea.
As long as they're nice ghosts.
Yeah, as long as they're not throwing things around. You know, like, no, because they grab me legs and go, bleh, all of that.
That's never happened to you, has
I know,
it?
but you hear stories of them being like, get out of my house, and they're rattling everything and all of that stuff, and it's just a bit...
Oh, please. Right, so anyway, theatre ghosts is like a massive thing. So I'd say probably every theatre in the world has a ghost.
Yeah.
But with Edinburgh being such a historical place, the Festival Theatre actually has 3 ghosts. And I had an experience with one of them, which I'll talk about later.
We had a brief experience.
Don't spoil it, okay?
Yeah, sorry.
Right, I'm going to talk to you about these ghosts. So the first one, the most famous ghost at the Edinburgh Festival Theatre is called the Great Lafayette. Lafayette? Hamilton reference for you. That's not who it is, but he's called the Great Lafayette. One of the most celebrated illusionists of the early 20th century. Do you know what an illusionist is, Alfie?
Yes, kind of like disappearing in smoke and, swords. And it's like a branch of magician, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So kind of like Houdini.
Yeah,
Yes.
I wanted to say Houdini, but yeah.
Yeah, cool. He was the highest paid entertainer in theatre at the time.
When was this?
In the early 20th century.
Okay.
Do you know when that was?
Do I know when that was?
Yeah, what year are we sort of talking there? Early 20th century?
1920 something?
Earlier. But,
Okay.
yeah.
The 1900s.
Yeah, brilliant.
Right.
Well done. This is going quite well.
I've got my GCSEs.
And apparently he was a very lavish performer. And so that brought the audiences in, which kind of justify that he was getting paid all this money.
Right.
So, spring of 1911, he was performing at the Edinburgh Festival Theatre, and he did his finale, which was called The Lion's Bride. And what he did in The Lion's Bride is he would swap places with a lion live on stage.
I mean, you are asking for trouble.
No, see, this is the thing. It's not that went wrong.
Oh, right, okay.
So this Lion's Bride thing happened successfully, and then out of nowhere,
We're back with Thrash and Treasure. I'm Aaron, and there's no people like Pamela Bob. Now, where did I put my questions now? Oh my god. No, I'm so delirious from the heat. Like it's just
know.
it's gone to my head. Okay, if the arts had an Olympics, what would you compete in?
Oh.
And what would you want to watch people compete at?
Oh, what would I want to compete in? I wouldn't want to compete in anything that makes me totally nervy and yucky. And I'm going to avert the question by saying this. I kind of think I'm against any kind of award giving in the arts. I just don't think it's, how can you compare?
Now, where's your resume? Because you've won, I think, 2 awards.
Well, I've been in 2 shows, one that won many Tonys and one that was nominated for many Tonys, and been in other shows that were not, got other accolades. So I've been through I personally have not been nominated for a Tony, nor won a Tony.
No, but you won the Best Actress in a Musical at the Metrolina Theatre Awards.
Yes, I did win that. Yes. And I won a New Hampshire Theatre Award. Yes. But here's the thing. I mean, it's lovely getting an award, but even with the Tonys and being a part of a show, it was very interesting being a part of both Gentleman's Guide and Hand to God through their Tony journey. And, it's a 6-week journey of the Drama Desk Awards. And, it's a whole slew of awards culminating in the Tonys, right? And I will say that it was so interesting to sort of witness what that process was, because what it taught me was none of it is fair. It's all subjective.
Yeah.
There's so much politics involved, even down to who's nominated, who's not nominated. Like, there are people that are snubbed that absolutely should not be snubbed, that are giving incredible award-worthy performances. And
Pamela Anderson.
I agree. Agreed. Yes. She should not have been snubbed.
And John Chu, obviously, but Pamela Anderson.
I mean, it's crazy.
And Chris Hemsworth. I just want to say Chris Hemsworth in Furiosa. He ate the scenery and then spat it out and then put it back in his mouth again, chewed it up again, and then spat it out and fed it to a baby bird. He actually acted in that movie, and yet nothing.
And, and I'm not saying that people who win awards aren't worthy of awards, but there's ultimately something wrong about comparing art, and sometimes comparing art that's so drastically different, like comedy actors never win Oscars, as always goes the dramatic actors. But, there's just as much technique that goes into comedy that goes into drama, right? So don't get me wrong, I'd take a Tony if I got one, but I also know the absurdity of the whole thing, right? It's just sort of a circus, and it's so much of it is not fair. So yeah, but if there was one competition I would enjoy watching, I think it would be cool to see different people sing the same song and see the different interpretations that each person brings to it. Because there's no right or wrong in that. It's just who you are and what you bring to the table. And one person's interpretation could be totally different than another person's interpretation. So that could be fun. Yeah. But, I don't know. The award stuff I'm conflicted about.
Yeah, well, this is more like a gladiatorial arena.
I know. I know. I took it way too seriously.
You took it seriously. I just compared it to a gladiator arena. Fight to the death. Goodness me. I mean, isn't that what the Tony Awards are anyway?
Yeah.
Let's face it. It kills a show.
Yeah.
If you don't get nominated, you're posting your closing, which is absolute bullshit.
I know.
Sorry. But...
No, it is. It's all crazy. Or, a review. And oftentimes they get these reviews so wrong. And it can make or break a show. And it's just crazy.
Tell me about it.
It's crazy.
But anyways, have you ever seen a theater ghost? Ooh.
Yes. 1000%. Yes. Okay, so I went to Cincinnati Conservatory, and there's a black box theater at the time. It has since been torn down, but there's a very infamous black box theater, which was the old theater that operas used to happen in. And it was this one sort of cornered off section of this bigger theater that ended up being like this black box theater that the smaller shows would go into, and you would have class in there every now and then. This was my sophomore year. I was on costume crew that year. You had to do a year of crew and another year of wardrobe costume. Okay. And that was a requirement. So I was on costume crew for this show that was in this black box theater. And it was me and one other guy. And we were backstage and the show had just begun. And we were, like doing our homework because we didn't have anything to do during the show. So we had prepped the show and then we were good. So we were doing our homework. We were just hanging out. And the next thing you know, we hear this soprano opera singer who clearly came in through the green room, which was right below where the black box was. Now, this is very common. We're at a conservatory, right? There's voice department, theater department, dance department, instrumentalists. You hear this stuff everywhere you go. And she was vocalizing. Beautiful soprano opera, vocalizing. And we were going, oh no, she doesn't realize there's a show going on. This is loud. And then we hear her coming up the stairs. So the voice is getting louder and louder because she's approaching where the theater is. And Casey and I, this was my friend Casey who was doing it with me. We looked at each other. We were like, oh no, she doesn't know there's a performance going on. Then we hear her enter the auditorium, and it sounded like she was standing in the back of the theater. And again, this is a 100, 200 seat black box theater, not big, just vocalizing, literally like vocal warm-ups, beautiful soprano at the top of her lungs, right? Loud. And we are freaking out like, oh my God, they're going to have to stop the show. This is crazy. Like, what is she doing? And then it stopped. And we were like, okay. And then we went about our business and actually sort of forgot about it. After the show, I was out with a few of my friends who were in the show, and we were, getting a coffee or whatever. I said to my friend, oh, by the way, who was the woman, the opera singer who came into the auditorium? And he just looked at me very blankly and went, what? And I went, the opera singer. She was singing loud as she could possibly sing in the theater. In the theater, we thought we had to stop the show. And a few of the actors looked at me and they were like, we don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, what? That's crazy. No, Anyway, a few minutes later, one of those actors pulled me aside and said, so I have to tell you something. One of the most notorious ghosts that haunts this theater was a soprano opera singer that apparently had died in that space in like the 20s. And he said, she's like the most popular ghost that haunts the theater. I just wanted to tell you that. So I swear to you, this was not a real live person. This was definitely this ghost. And even teachers at this school vowed that they had major, I'm talking like flying platforms. I'm talking about the faucets turning on and off by themselves in the bathroom, like freaky, supernatural type stuff. But this was crystal clear. And it was both Casey and I that heard it. So I'm glad it wasn't just me too, that he could vouch for it. So yeah, definitely. Space was haunted as hell.
I should have got you to tell me that story 4 fucking hours ago, and my whole body would have turned cold then.
Oh no!
I don't even believe Pamela. I'm totally skeptical.
This was an experience that was absolutely undeniable. Like, no one could say, oh no, it was this or it was that in a practical sense. Like, no. This was an undeniable experience. Crazy.
Suspicious me.
Yeah, crazy.
And my whole body turned cold listening to that.
Yeah, crazy.
Weird. It was her coming up the stairs, and I knew this was a ghost. This wasn't just, the canteen lady or something.
Yes, right. And none of the actors heard it. None of them. Like it was non-existent to them. Crazy.
Goodness me. Well, speaking of non-existent, one last question before we move on to the musical.
Yes.
What band or artist do you hope never, ever, ever gets a jukebox musical?
Oh boy. The Beatles?
No, they've already had one.
Have they already gotten a jukebox musical?
Yeah.
Oh, was it the John Lennon one?
It was like Let It Be or something like that.
Oh, but was it a musical? I know they had the Cirque du Soleil show.
Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
But that's awesome. Have you ever heard that soundtrack?
No, but they're closed recently.
That's like a love letter to the Beatles. I listen to that album all the time. It's a total mashup of virtually every Beatles song, and it's brilliant. That's not a jukebox musical, though. That's awesome.
Across the Universe.
Oh, right. That film.
The film by Julie Taymor. Which features Orfeh.
Okay, so let me think of someone else. They've already done Britney Spears. They've already done Dylan, but I would say the Dylan one is the least jukebox musically of all of them. I mean, it's really not a jukebox musical. It uses his songs, but it's done in a very unique and thrilling way. And it's not even his most popular songs. Oof.
Who was talking about it recently? Was it someone on this show? Or was it someone on the other show that I produce? Someone was talking and they went into great detail tell about it?
It's a beautiful
I've
show.
Someone.
Beautiful show.
Someone I've spoken to recently was talking about it.
It was really well done. It was really well done. Gosh, I don't know. Who do you think?
Eminem.
Oh,
I love his music, but please don't ruin it.
yeah, no, I do too.
Please don't ruin it.
But do you think if they did like a musical version of the movie he did, that could make sense in that? But you still don't want to see it. You don't want to see it.
I did love 8 Mile, which is basically a rap version of Rocky.
Right.
You did, rap fans out there. I've seen 8 Mile lots of times. I've seen Rocky once, maybe. I know.
At least you've seen it.
But I actually like the musicals.
The Rocky musical?
Yeah.
I saw it.
Was it good live? Like, was it exciting? Because I think it's really musical.
The last 10, 15 minutes where it's the actual fight was thrilling. It was absolutely thrilling. And that whole theater was converted into a boxing ring. I mean, the way that they did it was awesome. But I will say, I walked out of that theater going, I genuinely don't know if this is the best thing I've ever seen or the worst thing I've ever seen. Like, I couldn't, it was one of those where I was like, this is incredible, but is it?
Well, I think as a brand, which is one thing I'm going to get into in the musical when we eventually get there.
Yeah.
In terms of a brand of what they set out to do, it sounds like Rocky the musical.
Yes. Yes. I don't know. It was sort of, I don't know. I think some of it really worked and some of it didn't. And I love Stephen Flaherty. I don't know if they were the right composers for it. And then on the other hand, maybe they were the perfect composers for it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was conflicted about that show.
Yeah. The jukebox musical, I don't know if I should allow Bob Dylan because it technically does count.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of other artists. Who do I not want to see a jukebox musical from?
While you're thinking, I'll just throw in there that what I would, if anything, like to see from Eminem is the stories within his songs, maybe not all of them, because some of them are a bit colorful, but some of the stories within his songs reinterpreted in a different way that's not in a rap song.
Yes.
Maybe in a novel or a movie or a play or a different style of song with different lyrics, like another artist being inspired by that as the muse or something like that. So no, I wouldn't like to hear an ensemble singing Shake That Ass for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that would not work. But his songs are stories. So
Maybe I wouldn't want to see like a Taylor Swift
God no.
jukebox musical.
Oh God.
I would not. But I respect her and all, but I don't need it.
No.
I don't need it.
Okay, fine.
Okay, we're in agreement on that one. Okay,
Yes.
cool.
Speaking of ASMR, put us to sleep.
Totally.
Shots fired again. And speaking of shots fired, we're going to get onto the musical now and we're going to talk about Annie Get Your Gun this week.
Yeah.
So I'm going to run through my pros and cons, which are a little bit shorter, just time and feeling drowsy.
Yep.
Every time I'd start writing something, I'd fall asleep in the heat and I'd wake up just feeling awful because I fell asleep in the heat.
Oh, you
So
poor guy.
no, it's been a week and it's not over. Anyways, the first pro is it's a fun story and a charming musical overall.
Yep.
The first con is it's bogged down by romance. Second pro is it's a star vehicle for a female for a musical comedy, and we all know
Yes.
I love a good star vehicle for a female performer or diva. The next con is racism and red face, which is in its history, obviously, not in its present, though, obviously, to being changed, which is probably one of those times that a change is for the better. It is one of those times where the change is for the better and will be allowed on this show. Pro, Irving Berlin's songs are mostly terrific, but the next con is that its branding is just not there. He's selling us this musical about Western icons, but what we get is an Irving Berlin musical. That sounds like an Irving Berlin musical done in New York by New Yorkers. It does not sound like we're telling a story about Annie Oakley and Buffalo Bill. There is no brand here.
Western.
Which is the difference between this and Rocky the Musical. I listened to Rocky the Musical, and we did prepare an episode of that. Rocky I've heard quite a few times, and it's branded. This is not branded to anything other than Broadway.
Irving Berlin. Yeah, and Irving Berlin.
And Irving Berlin, whose name I'm actually pronouncing correctly for a change. Because
Yay!
usually I'd say Irvine Berling or Irvine Berline or Irving Berling. I just can never get his name right. Okay, the next pro is there's some well-known songs. Anything You Can Do, Doing What Comes Naturally. And the next con is there's some too well-known songs. Like these are songs that they've been in the pop culture zeitgeist for 80 years, 79 years or something.
Like there's no business like show business.
Yeah, that as well. They were obviously the standout songs, but the other songs I thought were just as strong, were just as enjoyable. We listened to the 1999 Broadway recording, though I did listen to the original first off. It was pretty poor quality.
Uh-huh.
That's when I decided let's do the 99 one. Now, the next pro is it's a meaty piece for actors, especially Bill and Annie. The con there is that it just falls back on being a romance. And another con is it sounds very similar to other shows of the time. Again, it's a branding issue. Oklahoma is a great example. That's Rodgers and Hammerstein. They have their brand. You hear their musical, you know it straight away.
It's them. Mm-hmm.
But each one sounds like the story that they're telling. It sounds like the brand and the idea that they're selling us.
Yeah.
So this failed here. Now, actually thought I hadn't seen it, and then I remembered I have it on DVD. Whoops, so I've put it upside down and back to front.
The original movie.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, I don't remember it at all. And I've had it on DVD clearly for a long time because they changed the ratings in Australia. If you see here, it's just a G in a triangle. Now they'll have a big colored square type thing or with rounded edges, right? So it stands out more. It's like this poster on my wall. It's an old poster, you can tell, because it doesn't have a big colorful sticker on it, basically, to make it stand out. So I've had this for clearly over 20 years. Reading the synopsis, as soon as I read that she shoots the bird off the woman's head, then I remembered I have seen it. But obviously,
it obviously didn't make a big impact on
it obviously hadn't made an impact. Pamela, the way Naturale was pronounced on this recording just pissed me off. It didn't sound good. It didn't sound Western. It actually sounded like they were mocking simple people.
Agreed. 1000%.
And not playing poor people. It really did sound like in the school playground picking on the people with cerebral palsy. That's awful to say, but it did.
No. I totally agree with you.
Yep, just that one word. Just that one word.
And I revisited it yesterday, and I also took note of that. You know, I watched Bernadette Peters' performance, and then I was like, ooh, this bothers me. And I love her so much, but I was like, this performance really bothers me. And then I watched a bit of Reba McEntire, who took over the role from her. And I was like, that's the one. And here's why. Because in the Bernadette Peters version, I completely agree. I felt like the portrayal was a mockery of Southern culture, of playing them really dumb.
Yeah, simple-minded and...
The accent was wrong. You know, they were in Cincinnati. Annie Oakland, I think, is Kentucky, right? Kentucky or Eastern Tennessee or that sort of area. And that accent is much quicker. It's not that long, drawn-out, natural lie. That's not the right accent. And it's also not the right pacing for that area that she was from. And so when Reba McEntire did it, who's actually from that area, it was like, oh, there it is. It was all the same lines, acted pretty much exactly the same as Bernadette Peters, but she didn't come off dumb.
Yeah.
She came off sweet and naive and uneducated, but not dumb. And part of that was also because the accent was right. It wasn't slow and drawn out. You know, it was perky. Think Dolly Parton, right?
It sounded mentally challenged.
Yes. And so I had a real problem with that too. It was not right.
No.
But in terms of the branding stuff, I mean, we have to think about when this was written, right? Like
46. Came out in 46, yeah.
Right. And musicals were the pop culture of the day. This is what they'd play on the radio, right? So we're looking at it at a contemporary lens, right? Like this is about Western culture. This is about, you know, why doesn't it sound that way? Well, because Irving Berlin was really popular and these were the tunes that were played on the radio, right? They weren't taking it that deeply. I mean, look at the context of how the Native Americans were even written, right? Like, this was not through a contemporary as we are now lens. In fact, I would love to see a readaptation of this story, of the Annie Oakley story, told now in a contemporary lens, because that story is fascinating. Listen, this is classic, like American Irving Berlin comic musicale, right? Where it makes you feel good. It's not that deep. You're going to have a laugh and you're going to hear a lot of tunes that you're going to want to play over. You're going to want to get the record and play it over and over and over again. And I did this role and I loved doing it. Actually, when I was casting it, I was kind of like, okay, I'm about to do Annie Get Your Gun. I went into into it sort of thinking, I'm not really going to like this. And I ended up absolutely loving it. And it's because it was so fun and it was so classic and there's so much heart to it if it's done right.
Yeah.
You know, there really is so much heart to it. You can play it without playing the dumb. You can play it for the comedy as long as there's still the heart in there. And that's why I think the show is fun, but how cool would it be if someone did a completely new retelling of her story, of this story, in a more contemporary way? How cool would that be?
She's interesting.
Fascinating historical figure. Even the whole Wild West shows, and these were real shows that were happening in America at the time. You know, you had these Native Americans joining these groups and the appropriation of Native American culture and their people. And I mean, it was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
There's one line when I was watching it that literally I had to rewind because I went, did they just say what I think they said? And it was a laugh line. They were talking with one of the Native Americans and trying to make a deal with him. And the Native American walked off the stage, and then the American guy, it was the manager for the Buffalo Bill show. He turned and went, how the hell did we steal this country from them? You know, it was literally like, oh. And, you know, the revival was in 99. We still weren't there then in terms of, oh, that's really messed up and maybe we should take a different look at this. But that was surprising that line was even in there and that it was a comic line. It hurt. It really hurt. That line really hurt. We're different now. It's hard to look at shows like this without the scope that we look at it now in our contemporary.
It's something we talk about all the time. We can't look at it through a modern lens, and I don't in that respect, and I didn't this one. I looked at it in terms of Oklahoma was not far beforehand. Oklahoma was 43.
Yeah, right.
And that was a massive hit.
Yes.
It won the Pulitzer or whatever it won. So,
well, it was the first musical of its kind. That and Showboat. Showboat
Yes.
really was the first musical that actually wasn't just song and dance, that told a story and had a message. And then Oklahoma was the other groundbreaking musical of its time. Yeah.
Yeah. And that sounds like a musical that came out of Oklahoma. So I don't know if I agree that it's for the betterment that Annie Get Your Gun was done as that popular sound.
Yeah.
Because it has, over time, I think this is probably where I'm looking at it through a modern lens in terms of a branding thing. But it's like we set out to make a show, like The King and I, they set out to make this show about this story. What does that sound like is the next question.
Right.
They've sat down, we're going to make this show about this gunslinging, rootin' tootin'est, baddest cowboy in the whole darn West or whatever it is. And we're making it sound like jazz hands.
Right.
And bathing beauties.
Right. From New York City.
From New York City. There's a disconnect there, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's where I am looking at it in terms of a modern lens. And whilst I'm thankful that they took out the racism and red face, I don't look at it as a comment on that's an acceptable thing to do, but that's a comment on the time that it was made.
Well, how cool would it be to rework Annie Get Your Gun and have her songs be bluegrass and country bluegrass, folksy, and then have the Wild West, Buffalo Bill show be really Western heavy. And I mean, how cool would that be?
Do it. People, do it. What's stopping you?
I've never thought of it before until this conversation. It's a brilliant idea.
Do you have producer friends you can call up after this? And
I think it would be so good.
I get 10% because it came from my show.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, just one more note. Overall, after my 12th or so listen, I didn't get to listen to it about 20 times. It was only about 12 this time. It's not too exciting of a story, though it's charming, but given its focus on the romance, it ultimately wastes any character development for Annie, as her focus is on pleasing the man.
I know, it's crazy.
So where you've got this, as I say, this really awesome character, we're not left with much place to go with her.
No, and her story, her actual historical story is incredible. And it's about getting the man. And I will throw them a bone that it's also about him calming his ego and chauvinism down so that he can accept her as his equal, except she's not his equal. She's better than him.
Yeah.
So.
But the thing is that he's not in the title.
I know. Listen, this is 1940s, man. I mean, fine. This is what they did with women.
I know.
Women were one-dimensional. They lived to have a man, to be a wife, to be pleasing to him. This is what women were.
I know.
That's why we have to rewrite this, reimagine this musical. And really tell her story and the Native American story and the Buffalo Bill story and with the appropriate music for all of the above.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Because was it Buffalo?
Buffalo Bill.
No, I'm thinking of somebody else. That their father. Oh, no, the author of Song of the South. His father was anti-slavery, and they like literally got chased out of. Or was it Buffalo Bill? I know. I was reading about both of these historical figures recently.
Yeah.
One of them, their father was a historical figure. Not historical. It was anti-slavery, and was invited to give a talk at like a drugstore or something like that, where people would gather and talk about slavery and how good it is. Yeah. So the father got death threats. And while the father was away, the 12-year-old had to run off and find the father to warn him or something like that. Like, I can't remember if it was the author of Song of the South or Buffalo Bill. It was one of the two. Maybe it was. Cody. Which one's? Yeah, that's Buffalo Bill.
Yeah, Cody. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think that's Buffalo Bill.
Yes.
But then he shoots Indigenous American in a tree and becomes an Indian fighter. So it's like, dude,
God.
what the hell?
Well,
That's it. Well, anyways, as I say, it leaves a strong, vibrant, interesting character out to pasture in order to fulfill standard storytelling devices and racism. But that aside, that is where many of these older shows shoot their shot too early anyways.
Yeah.
So I gave it 3 stars.
Yeah.
The songs are great, but clearly the disconnect for me is in that you've sold me a show about an awesome cowgirl and I got a Broadway love story.
Right. And is it relevant today? Like if someone was like, let's do a show in our season or let's bring something back, like would it be Annie Get Your Gun? Do you need to bring that show back? Unless it's a completely reimagined version of it, like the one that I'm going to manifest.
Yes, let's do it. You do it, not me. I'm not there.
I think it would be really good.
Yeah, definitely. No, anyways, it seems Annie woke up this morning and got herself an ad break.
Hey there! It's time to get popped on culture, the official Puzzle Hub Pop Quiz podcast. And welcome to game number 5. I'm your new host, Matt Young, and for today's special theme, we're going to test your knowledge on musical groups, including bands, boy bands, girl groups, and vocal ensembles. Play against your friends or the clock and see how you go. Alright, let's get into it, shall we? Next up, we've got our pop quiz. 10 trivia questions based on today's theme, and maybe a few bonus points if you're lucky. You'll have 5 seconds to guess the answer. So, ready for question number 1? Zach, Taylor, and Isaac are members of which group? Hanson. Of course, they're famous for Mbop. Crash Test Dummies were formed in which country? Canada, or as I like to say, Canada. Third question. Finish this album title. Never mind the bollocks. Here's the... The answer is Sex Pistols. The album is the 2020 debut album by which K-pop group? Blackpink. Jada Pinkett Smith performs lead vocals for which metal band? Wicked Wisdom. Said and Done was the 1995 debut album by which boy band? Boyzone. 7th question. According to Wikipedia, the Beatles were the last band to top the US Billboard end-of-year album charts. In which year did they achieve this? (2001). Which 3 opera singers made up the operatic supergroup The Three Tenors? 1 point for each correct answer. It was Placido Domingo, Jose Carreras, and Luciano Pavarotti. You ready for this one? Mesopotamia. Funplex, and Rock Lobster. Our hits by which band? The B-52s. And finally, in which year did ABBA form? That's right, the year I was born, 1972. And time's up. How did you go on that round? And how'd you go overall? Add up your scores and let us know on Twitter. And be sure to check out our other shows on the Bloop Network, especially Thrash and Treasure, where you'll hear incredible interviews with genuine icons of stage and screen. So until the next game, I've been Matt, you've been Popped on Culture, and I shall see you next time. See ya!
We're back with Thrash and Treasure. I'm Aaron, and there's no... Oh, no, I did that one before. I'm Aaron, and I'm unraveling the sweet mystery of Pamela Bob. And if I can find my questions again. Oh, what's one thing you are terrible at that everybody else can do perfectly well?
Oh, math. Math.
Yeah? Oh, no, me too.
Math, man. I mean, it's that side of my brain, that very organizational numbers type stuff. I just don't work that way.
Yeah.
Someone asked me once if you could have any superpower, what would it be? And I immediately said math.
Yeah.
They were not expecting that answer. They were like, really? That over flying? I was like, yeah, math.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I remember the day that I think I was lying in bed and I don't know what got me onto the thought, but I worked out how to work out percentages.
Yes.
Just on my own.
Brilliant.
At 33, 34, 35 years old.
Brilliant.
One day I'm like, okay, so you divide it by 100 and then times it by the...
Yeah, I mean, listen, I can do the basic stuff. I can leave my, server an appropriate tip. I'm not so remedial that I can't function in daily life, but I'm talking about that kind of brain that really gets it. Like real scientists or mathematicians or that. Is that the right brain? I don't even know what side of the brain it is, but I just don't have that thing.
No, neither do I.
I'm all creative.
Yeah.
It would be nice to balance it out with a little of the practical, logical business. Yeah.
And I'm good with puzzles, making puzzles, because that's a whole solving a puzzle in itself is to make a puzzle.
Yeah, that drives me crazy. My brain can't handle that either.
But maths, no, I do terrible at. I really do. But I remember I was just so proud of that day.
It's just a different language that my brain is just not wanting to do. Yeah.
Anyways, how important has diplomacy been in your career along the way? And with your friends, if you see a show that you thought stunk, do you feel comfortable telling them? Are they comfortable with you telling them?
No. In fact, I had a close friend who was desperate for me to come and see her show because this was an off-Broadway show. It was a new piece. Yeah. And she was desperate for me to come and see it. And she really wanted my feedback afterwards. And, we all know better. If a show is not good, you don't say, oh my God, this show is terrible. Or,
diplomatic.
Of course. And what purpose does that serve also? It's just hurtful and not nice, and it doesn't help anybody. And she was like, how was the show? Tell me honestly. And I was like, I did like it. My problem with the show is that I thought it was misdirected, but I wasn't saying anything. It was just sort of like, it was good. I enjoyed it. And she was begging me, no, please, 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 just tell me. And finally I was like, okay. And I really didn't want to say anything. And I finally said, okay, well, I thought it was really misdirected. I thought they really missed the boat on a few of the things. And guess what? She never talked to me again after that. It was a full-on sabotage, right? I didn't want to talk to her about it. I didn't want to tell her about it. It wouldn't help anything. And she was begging me. She wouldn't let me go. And then finally, when I said it, then I got punished for it. She never talked to me ever again. So no, always diplomatic. Again, if it doesn't help, then what is the purpose of it? Especially if you're in a show, it's not like it's going to change. Nothing you say is going to change the show to make it better.
That's the thing. And I agree on that there. And that's why I think both sides here just need to relax, get over it. It doesn't.
Yeah. And you have to get through it. Listen, we've all been in stinkers, right? You have to get through it the best you can.
Yeah, we all lie to ourselves at the time.
And someone going, oh my God, that show sucked is not helpful in any way.
I agree that, but I also don't feel like hearing it should change anything. It shouldn't matter. we got into a gambling industry.
Yeah.
This is, believe it or not, a gambling industry,
Right,
from the
yes.
producers investing money right down to the
Right.
people who step onto the stage, even now down to the front of house people who have to gamble with the audience members who don't shut the fuck up.
I know.
Or we'll just be rowdy and start fights. The fact is that in gambling, we're not going to win every time. And I feel like that's the mistake people have made. I hear it all the time. It's like Lonnie Price said it, that he went to say something to Sondheim that he didn't like something about one of his shows, and Sondheim didn't want to hear it. But mate, with all due respect, Sondheim, you are the master. No one's negative opinion is going to take that away.
Yeah, right.
It's not going to undo that. It shouldn't let your self-saboteur change how you step out on stage the next time.
It's also a stupid thing to do, because especially if you're in the industry, because this is a small, incestuous business.
There's that too, yes.
Word gets out. I am shocked by the amount of actors that shit talk performances or shows or anything on social media. I'm like, are you crazy? You are killing your career. What are you doing?
Yeah, because that you're putting that hate out there or that negativity out there. It's not being asked.
I mean, it's insane.
It's not going to see a show and your friend asks me. So I completely agree there. And it's like,
and it says more about you than anyone else. It says more about you than the crap show you just saw.
Yes, I completely agree there. And I'm sort of very, very conscious about that. And if I'm gonna on social media, I mean, not necessarily here. Here I've got a job to do.
Oh, in a private conversation with a trusted friend is different. Sure.
Or in a private conversation. But the fact, like, I released novels, and when I was writing the first one, I gave half the manuscript to a friend, and she read it. Well, she got halfway through and she gave it to me, and she said, "Look, I'm sorry, Aaron, but this is not my thing. I'm not enjoying it." I love the lady still. Like I poured 14 years into those novels.
Yeah, yeah.
My mum read them. She didn't like them. And I'm like, well, that's fine. I didn't get into this gambling industry to every time win or to expect to every time win.
And most of the times you're not going to win. I mean,
And most of the times I'm not going to.
Most fails and the occasional win.
Yeah, for every funny joke on this show, there was 10 that failed that I cut out of the episode. So no one heard that I failed with that joke. No, I don't. I still leave it in there because it might be funny to someone else.
Yeah, and instead of being angry with the actor or the someone about it, why don't you be mad at the creatives or the people above the creatives that had power to go, this isn't working, let's change it, who don't?
Yes, like Lonnie said with Sondheim, he was expecting them to change it, or he thought they'll take care of Merrily We Roll Along, and they didn't. And it closed.
Failed, right.
It's such I think a fascinating thing, because I mean, it's an ego-driven industry, let's face it. And
yeah,
you can tell those who are all about the ego that might peacock around and just only post photos with the most famous people that they're not friends with, but they were photographed with at an event.
Yes, right.
You know, and it's all about that ego, and it's all about that selling that idea. But at the same time, like, it's 2025. People see through it. They see through that pretense. They see through that bullshit because they've had so much of it by this point.
I mean, I would hope that that's true. I don't know how true that is. I think there are a lot of people who don't know the industry, who look at it with rose-colored glasses, very starry-eyed, who don't know the intricacies of it, that don't know the politics of it, that don't know the ego of it, that, you know, they don't know. And how would they know? They're not in it, right? Who do see pictures or photos and think these people are living their best lives, and they have no idea what's going on beyond that picture, underneath that picture, you know?
Look, you go to a restaurant, and if you get served a steak that's not cooked how you wanted it to, or it might be tough, or something might be wrong with your meal, and you request to get something changed. And I'm not saying I've done this myself or I would, but I've heard and seen it. We've seen it in movies. We've seen it on social media, that the chef will come out and go to the table with something wrong with your meal.
Yeah.
Again, mate, you don't get into a gambling industry if you expect to win every fucking time, because you're not going to. And if you do get that criticism, we have to say, okay, this person didn't like this and that thing, but okay, that does not change anything. That's an opinion that exists in that one person's head.
Right.
And I think that's why we do invest far too much into it. And, you know, but look, as we say, as we said before, a bad review or a bunch of bad reviews can close the show.
Yeah, one bad review in the New York Times, you're done. And half of those reviews are inaccurate, or they just didn't get it, or it's just one person's opinion, and it's not what the popular opinion is.
That's it. Tell me about it. Anyways, group warm-ups. Have they ever been a thing for you?
No. Not really. I think in the UK they do group warm-ups, right?
And here, yeah,
Yeah, no, you don't really do.
you're missing out.
I mean, maybe dancers get sort of more group warm-ups, but no, you're responsible for your own thing.
Yeah, there is nothing like coming together at the start of a show as a cast, standing around and all singing the most ridiculous songs or
Yeah.
just stuff to warm up together.
Yeah.
You're having a laugh, you're bonding with each other.
Yeah.
Maybe it might get rid of some of this ego that we have going about.
Mm-hmm. I could see that.
I think it's time America starts bringing in the group warm up. But yes. Now, you also did Silence,
I did.
the Silence of the Lambs parody musical, which I have my
Yes.
opinions on parody, so I won't get into that.
So do I, but this one was epic and amazing and brilliant and honest to God, one of the best shows I have ever done. Ever, ever, ever. It's done right.
Yeah. What was done right about it? What makes a good parody or spoof of
Well, Christopher Gattelli directed it.
friend of this show?
Yes, Chris is a genius. And it was a blank black box stage. There are 4 panels, like clothes hanger, racks with black fabric over them. That's the set, just done in interesting different angles and different ways. The script is 90% verbatim the script of Silence of the Lambs, which if you revisit that movie, it is somewhat dated now. I mean, it's still genius, but the script can be hilarious if done in a very serious way.
Yep.
And then there was music written for it that's just stupid. I mean, in the best stupid way. There's stupid that's not actually funny. And then there's stupid that's brilliantly comedic.
They're stupid and stupid.
Yes, and this was the best kind of stupid. I mean, this show, people were literally doubled over in laughter. And again, the way it was directed, the way it was done was so smart. It was just so smart and so creative. And it wasn't just a stupid, like, we're doing a parody, yada, yada. It was so smart. And they just did it this past summer of 2024, last summer, I should say. They brought it back. They took it to Edinburgh and they did a small run in London.
Okay.
And it was a huge hit. They should bring it back to New York. It's just an amazing show. Incredible show. One of the best shows I've ever had the privilege to be a part of. It's hilarious.
I do admit it makes my eye twitch every time I see the unauthorized parody.
Well, we were the first.
Yeah.
Ours was so good that that's when everyone sort of started doing their own.
Everything.
There's The Office and there's Stranger Things and I don't know if they're good, but ours was incredible. I mean, it was Time Magazine's one of the top 10 picks of the year. I mean, it was incredible show. It's an incredible show.
So I love parody and I love spoof and send up, but I think there's a big difference on where we were with like Airplane or Flying High, whatever you call it in America. I think we call it Flying High here.
Airplane. It's Airplane here.
Yeah. And Naked Gun,
Yeah.
which were spoofs of a genre.
Correct. Right.
They were a story in its own right, but spoofs of a genre. Whereas nowadays we've got like Epic Movie, which is every fantasy movie thrown in here. And here's this character and here's this joke. And you've got to be smart about it.
No, you've got to be smart with parody. Otherwise, it's stupid instead of the
Yes.
good stupid.
That's it.
Yeah.
So standing ovations. What has been your experience? How dirty do you feel being forced to give one when you don't want to?
I hate it. I think it's such a disservice to the theater as well. And I remember the days when standing ovations were earned. And now it is just every single show. It's ridiculous. And I think it dumbs down all of American theater.
Yes.
Because the requirements of making really stupendous pieces of art, pieces of work that deserve a standing ovation, the bar has been so lowered because now you're just giving a standing ovation for everything. And I get it. You're spending a lot of money. I mean, tickets to see a Broadway show are ridiculously expensive. You're paying for the babysitter. You're going out to dinner. I mean, you might have spent thousands of dollars for a night out to to see a Broadway show in New York City. And by God, you're going to stand up even if the show was crap because you've just spent a lot of money and you better stand up because it better have been worth it. So I think it's this weird psychological thing too. But I also think it's a dumbing down of the audience.
Yes.
And what they can recognize is actually ovation worthy. I remember the first show I went to that got a standing ovation that was the most earned standing ovation I've ever been a part of. It was in the late 90s, the revival of 1776.
Okay, yeah.
And it was a brilliant revival. And, that show is not the best show in the world. However, it was so masterfully done. And what's so interesting about that revival is we all know what's going to happen, right? Like it's history. We know what's going to happen, but it left the audience on the edge of their seats, how they did it. It was so suspenseful. You really, really it was as if you didn't know what was going to happen, right?
Yeah.
And that was the first audience I'd ever been in where everyone stood to its feet. And it was thrilling because it was so deserved. And then, I don't know, we've just dumbed down everything. I mean, I'm happy for the actors when they get a standing ovation, but I'm bothered. I'm really bothered by it. And I'm especially bothered when I'm forced to stand because I can't see. And so I have to stand up.
You know when you're on stage, you know when you did good, you know when you did bad, you know when you nailed it, and you know when you went above and beyond nailing it.
Yeah.
And that last one is where you earned your standing ovation.
Yeah.
And I think by giving it every time, it's not good for the actors. And I do feel sorry for them because they're coming to expect it. And it's like the criticism thing and the diplomacy thing. If they don't get it, they take that on board. What did we do wrong? Were we not good tonight?
Right.
Why didn't they stand up tonight?
Right.
And that inner saboteur takes over because they let it.
Right.
It's all psychological, kids. Same as criticism, same as bad reviews.
Yeah.
Same as one night you might have a full house. The next night you might have just a smattering of people that are smattering of applause. It's a gambling industry.
But yeah, and part of me thinks maybe that's what the dumbing down of so many, especially musicals are, because when we're in a culture of just everything gets a standing ovation no matter what, it's like, well, then you don't have to work so hard to make the show better. If the feedback you're getting are standing ovations every night, then you don't think your show needs work.
Exactly. Exactly.
Goodness
gracious me. And then when you have earned it, how do you know that you've earned it?
That's right. It's not special anymore. It's just, yeah.
If everybody is a standing ovation, then nobody is.
Right.
We'll stop. And quite frankly, even the most greatest of legends out there, Patti LuPone, people like that, I would guarantee she would step off stage sometimes and think, fuck that, I didn't earn that one. I didn't earn that one. And then other times she'd work up. She said, I laid it out. I earned that one. And she'll take that happily. As much as the ego's at play, people, when they're thinking to themselves, that's when they're not lying to themselves.
Right.
Because they can't help it. Because if they're trying to lie to themselves, there's another voice that will come in and jump in and say, no, well, actually.
Yeah, right.
So again, it's all psychological. Just you can't take it on board, which now actors can't even take it on board when they do get a genuine standing ovation because it means nothing, because it's what the same reaction they got every time.
It's the norm, right.
I really do. I hate it. It feels so labored. But anyways, listen to us curmudgeons. Last time you jumped in a puddle for fun.
Oh, for fun? Oh, I'm ashamed to say I don't remember the last time I jumped in a puddle for fun.
God, you people.
I know.
I love all you guests, but you guys, you need to have more fun. You need to skip down the street, get your faces painted.
No, you're right.
Jump in puddles, roll down hills.
Yes, get your feet in the grass. Yes, no. I've often been told, go to a grass area, take your shoes off, get grounded, get your feet in there.
Yes.
The only reason with the puddles is because normally it's having to take, one of my kids to school and avoiding the puddle so their feet don't get extremely wet.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking of. But no, you're right. I should absolutely jump in a puddle.
Yes. I'm going to leave us all with a quote that I have just invented. We are young once, but fun forever.
That is true, especially in our industry. We're so lucky because we get to stay young and creative and spontaneous and have fun. That's what we do for a living.
Yes, and that should happen when you're walking down the street and it's just rained and you see that big puddle and no one else is around.
You are absolutely right.
No one else is going to be affected by it, but you're like, oh, it just looks so good. And you run and you jump in it like I do this sort of shit all the time. I'm like a grown-ass man with a beard, but I'm still a giant kid. Like I'll skip down the street if it's dark
Love
and there's
it.
no one around. There's that feeling inside you. It comes back to you that this is what life is about.
Yeah, it's
Fun
brilliant.
and joy and just skipping into the wind.
I will say, if I ever get on the subway and it's an empty car,
Yes.
I will twirl around and maybe sing because it's
Yes.
very rare that you get a car to yourself. So I would say that's my equivalent to jumping in a puddle.
Yes, but still, you have to.
I will do it.
That's
I will.
Awesome.
That's a good
So,
reminder.
that's it. I'll let you go. I'll do all your socials. I'll give you a 10-minute break. I'm
Oh.
so sorry. We gas bagged for 20 minutes beforehand.
It's
so-
okay. It's okay. Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you for joining me so much. It's been an absolute thrill. So I'll let you go and get onto your other show and say hi to Buffy's dad for me.
Thank you. Hopefully you can get.
Actually, let him know that I was in a Buffy comic because I used to do crossword puzzles, right? And I did a whole series of Mutant Enemy or Buffy and Angel crossword puzzles. I got invited by Joss Whedon and Dark Horse Comics to make one of them for. I have it right here, actually.
Oh, wow.
Get to it without pulling a muscle. So this is season 8, right? So it
Oh
was
my
an
gosh.
official continuation as we see Joss Whedon. His name's, yeah, that one there, right?
Wow. Yeah.
The season finale in the back, if I can get to it, they printed off my crossword.
Oh my gosh. Amazing.
So I actually worked with them. Now that's been signed by Adam Baldwin and the front of it's been signed by Nathan Fillion. So like I don't collect autographs, but this is my work. So to get the people who are part of the puzzles that I made
Yeah, that's great.
is kind of cool. So yeah, let him know that you're with someone who's been in Buffy. It's the dumbest way possible.
Everything's dumb. That's just it is what it is.
Alrighty, a huge thank you to Pamela for joining me. I had such a wonderful time. It was such an easy, warm conversation. So thank you so much for joining me on this first episode to celebrate my 40th birthday weekend. Yay! It's not yet, but it'll be in a couple of days. So this is the first episode this weekend that we're going to have one on Friday and one on Monday to celebrate my first 4 decades. Hopefully first. Hopefully there's a second. Anyways, you can follow Pamela on Instagram at the Pamela Bob, one word. And very soon, Pamela can be seen in Cracked Open, a brand new play, which is being performed at Theatre Row in New York City off Broadway. So that will be opening in May and will be running until late June. So check below for the details to pick up tickets to that. Anyways, look out on our social medias at Thrash and Treasure or at Thrash and Treasure Podcast because we're about to announce something really awesome once the first press interview comes out and we can actually announce what I have been working on for the past several months and it's very exciting. So yes, anyways, I'm going to round up because I've got a lot of editing to do. I've got a whole ADR session to do in about 10 minutes and I've got to get this episode up. So again, thank you to Pamela for joining me. Happy birthday me for Monday and look after yourselves. Thank you for listening and we shall see you next time. Uru! No worries. Thank you so much.
Stay
All right.
cool. Get some ice cubes.
Yes, we'll do. All right. Have fun. See ya.
Bye.
Like quicksand!